Taking up, brother?
Yeah.
All right.
Take it easy, be careful.
Huh?
Take it easy and be careful.
Oh, I will. Always.
It's freaking crazy, man.
Man, that was just insane, dude. There was no reasoning for it, dude. And his wife knew along. Everybody knew about it, dude. And so I'm supposed they don't get charged with a crime. You know what I'm saying?
Nope, she got
You
to go
know?
down too. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
You
It's called
know?
accessory or whatever.
You know what I'm saying?
Accomplice, you know? All right, take it easy, brother.
Yeah.
Be careful, man. I'll see you.
Or like,
See you
you
around.
know.
I stay right down the street from here, so I'll see you around.
Yeah, I'm over there off of Pebble and Eastern.
I'm on Pickles Swampville. So I'm right up the street.
So the cops have got, the lights on us. No, I don't think Manny was home. There's a couple other stringers out here. So, they, but yeah. The cops are trying to spotlight us, violating, laws. Yeah. So, we are live streaming. Yeah. Yeah, I mean they got the whole street blocked off over here, and as you know that they probably know we're live streamers, but there's a couple stringers over here. Uh, Little Omelet, LIL Omelet, is here. Critical 911 that records cops and first responders responding to crime scenes. They are here. Uh, they're YouTubers. They are here also. Uh, so, but we're going to be here for a while. Uh, Yeah, it's a coward thing to do, what they did. But here, understand this. The cops, the feds, everybody have got all kinds of complaints on Manny, and they've done nothing about it. So, this was preventable. But this was preventable. You know, you know what I'm saying? No, if I get closer, then it's the cops are got the see the spotlights, the overhead lights, and their spotlights on their car are facing me, and the other stringers that are there. See them over there? Those are the other YouTubers. They're all over there. Uh, you know. So we are live. The News 13 and News 5 and everybody know that we are over here. So, you know. Now they're going to have to serve a search warrant on his house. They're probably talking to Angel and whoever else is able is probably there. They're probably talking to them. They probably pinged his phone and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure Manny put something in place. Maybe in New Mexico. I don't know. Uh, because the last place he was at was New Mexico. You know what I'm saying? He probably, had planned this for a while, and then, probably had some kind of escape plan. And Julie probably assisted him, or somebody assisted him. But any way you look at it, there's no reason why. There's just no reason why it should come down to this over the internet. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason for it. You know. Uh, you know. Yeah. So there's no reason for this at all. You know. I mean, they can turn on the lights all they want. They ain't affecting my live stream, you know? All right, Miss Tunes, I can't catch you live, so. Yeah. But thanks for everybody for showing back up. We are live at Manny's home, and I'm pretty sure the way the procedure works is they'll serve a search warrant for computers and anything to build a case if he did survive or he didn't self-inflict. No, the red car is not here. It's the yellow Mustang and Angel's car is here, but the the red convertible Camaro isn't here. So um, you know what I'm saying? Nah, I'm sure he didn't go to L.A. I'm pretty sure you went to New Mexico because there's a lot of off-grid property out there, a lot of places you can hide out there in New Mexico. But technology will and they got flock readers for your car and everything like that, so they know his route of travel and everything like that. The best thing for him to do is just turn himself in. There's no justice, there's no excuse for what happened. you know uh you know so you know man, he's on what live right now? Yeah, they had drones and the helicopters. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, anybody that knows about this crime after the fact, before the fact, and during the fact could be charged for the crime also, and that's what people's not getting. You know, I know people talk a lot of garbage and a lot of BS online, but be careful what you say, because people static record, screen record, they screenshot stuff. You know what I'm saying? Even in Discords, so it's like, you know. Um, and the beef's been going on for it's not about bullying people. It's about exposing people for what for the wrongdoings and what they were doing to people. And then when it affects your live stream, your numbers, and it turns your viewers and your cash cows away from you, from donating to you, that rubs people wrong, especially if they got a high maintenance bill and have to pay for this and that. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you know so it's just, this has been brewing for a long time. There's been all kinds of police reports out on uh on Manny, Jojo the squirrel, for being assaulted by him and Machete, the girl that was maced by for unprovoked over there on Fremont, him being an ex-con at a shooting range, shooting a firearm, in possession of a firearm. Those complaints have all been filed, and still, you know what I'm saying? But you can't. The only bullying that was going on, where he thought he could control Fremont Street and all the live streamers, and that was his territory. And people saw through him and stuff like that. You know. What reports are you hearing that from? Hey, you guys hearing confirmed reports? One in custody. I'm getting reports. One in custody. Manyo Figueroa, what's up? Yeah, independent news is confirming one in custody 16 minutes ago. Yeah, it wasn't just Finney. It was just the people who was getting all the information from Finney that had enough of it. Finney provided a platform for them to speak up. And Manny had every opportunity to go on that platform and defend himself, but using a gun to carry out justice, is not the way to go, especially in front of families, especially in front of kids on the Las Vegas Strip. And that just gives all of us vloggers, all of us people out here, a bad name. It just, you know what I'm saying? Uh, you know? Yeah, yeah. There was confirmed reports. There was one deceased on the ground. Uh, you know.
Have a good night, man.
Yeah, they're confirming that there was one in custody.
Okay.
By independent news 16 minutes ago. Regardless if that's Julie or Manny. Well, I don't know. I have no way to looking this stuff up.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, man.
Okay, I'll shout out your guys' channel.
Thank you.
All right. You guys gonna go to Sunset Park this weekend?
We'll look into it. Yeah.
All right, guys. Yeah, James. Yeah, it is, ain't it? It is sad. Uh, you know, uh, it shouldn't have never went down that way. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Yes, sir. Do you know what's happening?
yeah.
Because I was like in the neighborhood driving around. And I was just kind of wondering. I seen the police helicopter.
Sin City Family, the live streamer.
No, sir.
He's a YouTube live streamer here in Las Vegas.
Uh,
Shot and killed two other live streamers on the Las Vegas Strip tonight, in front of the
At the
Venetian.
Bellagio.
oh, and they
Yeah, at the Bellagio in front. Yeah,
Does he live over here?
yeah, he lives right up the street here. But they're probably what they're doing is securing the area for a search warrant. To gather evidence, maybe computer stuff and everything like that.
We were sitting in the car
Uh,
like one street over and we got shined. The police helicopter shined their light in our car.
Yeah, they're looking for his red Camaro convertible, but who knows? What's going on about that?
You said what's the YouTuber's name?
Huh?
What's the live streamer's name?
Sin City Family. Yeah, I'm CW Media,
nice to meet you.
Community Watchdog Media. I'm a local, born and raised vlogger out here. Community watch type events. Uh, Trying to bring these people a little bit of closure.
Do all these kids live in the neighborhood or something?
Yeah, those guys were stringers. They're also YouTubers. Critical 911 is his channel, and the other one's Little LIL Omelet 68, I think, and he's a live streamer also. Uh,
Go on TikTok.
no, Manuel Diaz Ruiz is his last name. Ruiz is his last name.
So he killed two people on the strip?
Yeah, two other live streamers, her wife and husband, that were, you know, what do you call? They, you know, they, you know.
Oh, it was on live when it happened.
Yeah. I was watching it at home, you know.
He did this shit live.
Yeah.
So have they gotten him in custody yet?
There's unconfirmed reports, but there's an independent station that is reporting that they do have one in custody. It could be his wife, it could be or it could be him himself. But anybody that knew before, after, and during, you know, they could be charged too for a crime. You know what I'm saying? This is his residence over here. His son's a live streamer. He lives there with his other brother and stuff, and their you know, child. And the whole thing is, it's just, you know, they have to serve a search warrant for other firearms, you know, laptops, anything. Huh?
Or the gun itself.
Yeah. No, he wasn't here because
He had
5
to
minutes
come
after,
here?
I was watching the live stream when it happened.
Yeah.
And I live right up the street, so I came over here. Nobody was over here. No cops, no nothing yet. And I went straight down the strip and live streamed it for 2 hours. And then I came over here. Dropped my wife off in the
I'm glad
car.
we were on the strip last night and not tonight.
Yeah.
Because this was the same time we were on the strip.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well, it's like this. If you're part of the community, you know, and everything, you know, like I am, I'm born and raised here. But, you know, you just got to be active with all the social media influencers out here and know who's toxic, who not to hang out with, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's just, yeah, if you walk by them while they're live streaming, yeah, you can wave to them, say you're hi, you know what I'm saying? But for it to go to the point of what, you know, the Sheriff Mayhill was talking about, you know, the violence on the strip, it shouldn't have never happened. You know what I'm saying? You know, it was avoidable, it was preventable. There was enough complaints on this guy to the cops, and they just ignored it. Now look, 2 people lose their lives, families are traumatized, kids are traumatized.
There's a lot of kids
You know,
on the strip as
they
well.
evacuated the Bellagio into Paris, I think, because they thought he was hiding out over there. So there was a lot of, you know, stuff that went on that shouldn't have never went on, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just you don't have to use violence and guns to to resolve or solve a crime. I mean, to resolve your conflict between people. Talk it out, da da da, blah blah blah. Go behind the barn. You know, you know.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Did you look up my channel?
For
See,
sure.
huh?
For his channel.
My channel, CW Media.
CW Media.
Yeah, it's right here on my shirt. You can come over here.
What do you stream on? YouTube?
Yeah,
Instagram?
YouTube and Facebook and Instagram once in a while.
I don't want to be on the news. Can you hurry up, Ethan?
Alright, I found it. Alright, thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. That was News 13. They were here. I was with News 13 on the Strip. Yeah, guys, it'll all come out in in the end. You know. Thank you, Yolanda. Yeah, they over here with these lights over here, man. Which is crazy. And with the real news media here, you know. Now now they're gonna put up police tape. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. They sell the real. They sell the news media, Channel 13 News that I was out with earlier on the Strip. Drive by here. They're gonna have. It's News 13 pulls up over here. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna explain the lights? That you're facing at my camera. You know. Thank you, Yolanda. Guys, be nice. Yolanda's my moderator. You know. Yeah, they putting up the tape now. No, because the mainstream media came by. Yeah, it looks like a detective. He's got a clipboard in his shirt, you know. Now I live right down the street. I ain't nervous about anything, you know. I ain't saying anything that hasn't been all said already, anyways. You know what I'm saying? I just try to remain neutral and to things, uh, whatever they had going on, but it didn't have to escalate to the kind of violence that it escalated to. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and especially out in a public spectrum, like the Bellagio fountains where families and kids were, you know, that didn't have to happen, you know. So, you know, yeah, it's off of Maryland Parkway and Windmill up to 215 is where we're at. Oh, I don't know. I haven't. I went straight from the strip to here. I went home, dropped my wife off because she's got to work in the morning, and then I grabbed my I'm I'm on my e-bike that I usually live stream with. You know, if you follow my live streams, you see my e-bike, and I live right down the street, so I cruise over here on my e-bike. You know, you know, baby doll 915. I think it all hit us a little hard. I mean, I kind of was, crying tears myself on the way there. You know. Yeah, there's no justification. Uh, You know, uh, it's a deliberate act. Uh, it's a deliberate act. When you plan something and you take a gun to a fight, there's no way around that. I hear people saying that, oh, Finney had a gun too, and all that, or something like that. I, I I don't know what's true, what's not true. You know, you know. Yeah, there's a lot of complaints that they're going to have to peel through the police because uh, you know what I'm saying? Because there was too many complaints on Manny. This could have been this could have been preventable, possibly, but it's just you don't solve violence with a gun. You know, you don't you don't use a gun to solve a problem. And that's what society is doing nowadays, and that's not how things work. And us social media influencers that are out here in Las Vegas, I'm born and raised, you know, we have to be out here, every day. So now we get the backlash of what's going on, uh, you know what I'm saying? Uh, and it's just a coward thing to do. If it was off someplace in a hotel room or something like that, I think the media is going to tear this up because this was in front of families and kids, and it was preventable. The foundation was laid with all the police reports that were filed against Manny, and the cops never done anything about it. Their fusion center never done anything about it, and their fusion center would rather watch my live stream, end of Terry Stop's live stream, than they would watch Sin City Family's live stream. Man, I just remain cordial and uh, and I just try to stay out of the drama, you know. And the whole thing is, two people still be alive today. People knew what was going to go on. Yeah. Oh, James. The Fusion Center called me up and told me they were watching my shit, so I know I'm being watched at the Fusion Center. You know. But both ends of it. Whoever aided and abetted, uh, Manny Manuel, you know, in this, provided him the firearm or anything like that, they could be charged for a crime. And if the sheriff don't stand his ground, and if the DA does not stand their ground and charge others that knew about this before, during, and after, then then that's bad on the police. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you know. There's an ambulance going. Somebody's stressing. Right, James? Correct. You know? We all saw this for the last year and a half evolve. We all seen this blossom. We all seen it turn into where it ended tragically like today. And it didn't have to go that way. But you want to be a man up. Don't be a gangster. You know what I'm saying? When you have a family and responsibilities, stuff like that, it was just too much for him to take. Losing subscribers, losing, potential, cash cows and stuff because of all the stuff that was being said and exposed. And it was Finney just provided the platform, you know. So, and there was a lot of input, uh, you know, from the community and from the people that were personally involved with, what was going on. You know, I stay out of that kind of mix, you know. Um, I know who's who and who to avoid, you know, because you have to know that as a social media live streamer, you know. But it just I give, like I said earlier, I give back to the community, you know. So you know what I'm saying? No, because they know there's a live streamer over here. That's why all the lights are on, the tape's up, and the mainstream news media, you know, you know, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't use my platform, to expose people and talk bad about people because I'm a little bit better than that. I just rather just avoid people, you know, because we're all from the same community, you know. You know, you know what I'm saying? You know. No, we're not going to play the blame game here, you know. You know, nobody brought a gun. It's when you bring a gun you know, to a word in social media war, it ain't gonna turn out. You know what I'm saying? You know? So yeah, you know. Thank you, Purple Girl. Angel has nothing to do with it, guys. You know, what his dad does and stuff like that. You know, Angel's, you know, innocent bystander here. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't use his platform to, you know, talk about what goes on his dad's channel. So, can we just please leave the kids out of it, you know, you know. Well, he's not a kid, but Abel's a kid, and then Jesse, the little one, you know. So, you know what I'm saying? Angel's got his own thing. He does his own thing. He don't use his dad for clicks and views, and you know, and he doesn't, you know, get involved with what his dad does. I'm on a public sidewalk. These are public people. They're public influencers. You know. You know what I'm saying? Yes, when they first started out, me and my wife were the first moderators Sin City family ever had. But then we see the direction they were going on, and due to the fact I have to protect the integrity of my channel, I walked away from it all. You know, you know, and just was cordial with everything. You know. Yeah, it's not worth it, man. You know. You know, if you're a live streamer, you're a public figure. You know, the paparazzi goes around and film, you know, celebrities and actors and athletes' houses all the time and stuff like that because you're a public figure. If you're a live streamer, social media influencer, you're a public figure. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're not exempt. You know, I'm on a public sidewalk. I'm not breaking no laws. I can stand out in front of anybody's house and live stream. You know. Guys, it's been 41 minutes. I'll come back during the daytime after, you know. So, you know. Well, they're securing the house for a search warrant. My other live streamer friends here have police radios and stuff, and they're securing it for a search warrant. So, uh, that's all. You know, to look for evidence and everything and stuff. So, Guys, I'm going to end this live stream. Thanks for being here. If you want to send tips or gratuity, you can go to Cash App, Community Watch Media on Cash App. If you feel like tipping and showing a little gratuity, I will be back out here tomorrow after I get more information from the news and the media and the press conferences that they're going to have. We are going to do a vigil probably down there in front of the Bellagio for Finney and Bubbly. Nobody deserved that. Thank you, James, for being here. Thank you, Yolanda, for being here. Thanks to Pugface Media for being here too. He's also a moderator. And I'll see you guys later, okay? Thank you, guys.